You ready, Chris?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, we might as well call this meeting to order. First thing we'll go over is approval of the minutes for last week. Any questions on them?
My only comment is that at the very top, the date is tonight's date instead of November 9th.
Yes, that's exact. You beat me to the punch.
Okay.
It says approve the minutes of November 9th.
No, on the top where it says the emergency meeting minutes, Thursday, November 19th.
Maybe I didn't update your copy. Mine's updated. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say mine says the 19th.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I sent them. I think I sent them to you that night, and then I updated
Right.
them.
Okay, so you did. So
Okay.
it's Monday, November 9th then?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry. I will make sure the copy is correct. That gets posted.
All right.
Okay, so I guess we'll go on with approving the minutes of Monday, November 9th. Slattery, yes.
Tishman, yes, and then if we can discuss.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, to discuss before we vote.
Yeah, I have no exception, with the minutes. I just have a question.
Okay.
I understand
Richard died then, so we can
what's
move.
meant, and that's on the page 2 under and if a holiday is on a Saturday or Sunday and is observed by the Commonwealth on a Friday, employees who are not regularly scheduled to work on Friday will be entitled to a floating holiday to be used within the fiscal year.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what we currently do, or this is something different?
No, that's what we talked about last week. And none of this is set in stone. These are just the ideas that we were talking about last week to continue talking about.
Okay. All right, then I'm okay then.
Yeah, none of this is set in stone.
Okay.
We'll agree and vote before it goes to the hearing
Okay.
and to the select board. Okay, so the minutes are all approved.
There we go.
All right, next one up is PCF for Janine Domina. Administrative assistant to the assessors, $15 an hour for a 12-hour week. No benefits, and she's going to replace Dawn Young.
I motion to approve the PCF.
I'll second. Slattery, yes.
Richard, I.
Yeah, Tishman, I.
Don't worry, you can.
That's easy.
Approved.
I'm still in audit mode, so don't mind me. We're having an audit this week, and it's just... Okay. Next up, we have EMD payroll payment versus consultant vendor payment.
Yeah, I'd like to know why that was paid through the payroll before coming to us.
Now, wasn't that agreed on that was going to be a vendor until everything was finalized?
We didn't approve anything. We recommended it goes through the vendor process, but we never received any PCFs. I'm not sure it was even posted. So I'm not sure why they could have paid through the vendor versus the payroll, and they should have never put it through the payroll without being approved.
Yeah, because my impression was that it was a consultant position. We were not adding a position, and that was why when we talked about the position description and grading and so forth, the concern was, are we creating a position? And I thought the answer was no, this is just a consultant while we go through this pandemic. So I would have to agree that it look like more of a vendor than an employee.
Right, it should have been on a vendor payment as a consultant.
So what do you do?
I don't know. A lot of money that was paid out for somebody we didn't approve.
Well,
right, because it was over a long period of time. It was all done in one check, yeah.
No, what was the pay? Was it, would you tell me, 2,000?
It was $1,000 stipend per month, and it went back to, I believe, March. I may be incorrect, but I think it was March.
When was the payment
I
made?
believe it was for 7 months, am I right?
I think so. On the last pay period.
Seriously?
Yes. Yes.
So we got paid $7,000.
I'm not sure the amount. I don't know if it went, I'm going along with Francine on that 7 months, but I'm not certain it went back to March.
I can't, don't quote me on it, but it was more than 3 months, more than, of payment, which would get up there.
Yeah, then I think they need to address that.
Yeah, I don't know that there's anything we personally can
Well,
do about it, but I just wanted to say it was out of line. It should never went through the payroll, and I'm really shocked it did.
Can it be reversed on the books? Because it should be. I mean, that may be all that it needs to happen.
Well, no, because if he's entered into the payroll system now, he's had taxes taken out and all the other.
Yeah, he's considered an employee.
All right. We do need to look into that.
Yeah, and he's going to get a W-2 now.
Mhm.
Yeah, that needs to be addressed of why that happened.
Mm-hmm. So who takes that forward?
Sorry?
Who brings that to the...
I'm going to write a letter
Okay.
and send it to Ed. And we need to get a reason of why this was done and when it should not have been done.
Okay.
Especially when if he's considered a consultant at this point, it should have been done on a vendor check.
Well, it was listed, my understanding is it was a stipend, not a wage, not a salary. It was called a stipend, which translates to me into a consultant.
Right.
Correct. We agree.
But is there a legit position on the books in payroll for that position?
No, we did not approve one.
Yeah, so it should have been on a vendor. Because that's creating a position that's not.
Oh, we did. I take that back. We did approve a PRF. It wasn't posted, so it didn't go through the process. And I know they were changing it. It came back to us. It was changed. And I think they wanted to change it again. I say they, but I believe Maureen mentioned that she wanted to change it again. And I don't know what happened after that.
Okay. All right.
So,
Okay, so I'll draft up that letter and
okay.
we'll see what answer we get.
Okay.
Okay. Any other discussion on it?
No. Just disappointed.
Yeah. Okay, on to old business for the rules and regulations. I have to go off of memory because I left everything on my desk. I was working on it at work at lunchtime.
Well, so I kind of typed up everything that we reviewed, and then I sent a copy of all like the changes that we're talking about here. We still have to approve a few things before it goes forward. Like we didn't decide on the interim definition if we were going to change it or leave it. Where is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bullets down on page 9. So we can think about that, how we want to reword it, or if we do want to reword it. Because currently interim, it suggests that you have to be an employee.
Where did you say again, Robin?
The 5th bullet down, it's on page 9. It'll say page 9, update interim. Do you have the book ahead in front of you, or?
I do.
Okay.
I left my notes on my desk. I do have the book in front of me, though.
And so the question there is in terms of definition.
Yeah, do we want to change it? Do we want to leave it alone? Because I believe Ed changed the name of the interim accountant to temporary accountant to comply with the guidelines here. However, it's still being called interim accountant publicly, and I think it was posted as interim as well, even though we voted temporary.
Right.
To me, it's the same thing.
It,
It's the same thing. It's just
Yeah.
the way it's worded here. It's
Right.
not, yeah, it doesn't comply because an interim's not an employee according to this book.
well, that's the thing, is an interim in certain aspects is based on, I'm thinking of intern. But an interim and intern are kind of like the same thing. If you're working, you're not getting paid, you're just kind of like
Yeah, I'm okay with interim / temporary.
Yeah.
Acting is the thing that
Yeah.
it doesn't fit here, as far as I'm concerned.
However, I mean, it's the meaning, where is it? Employee shall mean an employee who is already. So it refers to an employee. So that's the word that we're looking at here versus interim or acting. So according to this, only an employee can be the interim acting position, whatever it could be.
yes. Yes.
As opposed to an emergency or a temporary.
Right.
Okay, well, if that's consistent, then
Or we can remove it and just add in letter G before that and change that to a temporary interim acting as one line, one definition. Because really an interim is a temporary, somebody who's in the position
Yeah, the different,
temporarily.
difference is you're hiring somebody outside the box as opposed to somebody
Right.
in-house.
But there could be an interim person helping out.
Exactly,
In the
yeah.
treasurer's office right now. Christy was doing the treasurer collector's job and her own. So that technically, she was doing 2 jobs and probably should have been compensated for it. For helping out.
Yeah,
That would be the interim meaning here.
yes, yeah.
My kitties.
but the definition, emergency is 2 weeks, temporary is 12 weeks, correct?
Yes.
And the definition of interim or acting, there is no
Time
time
limit.
limit. Is that correct?
I don't see one. I believe you are correct. Yep. Until a qualified replacement is found and hired.
Okay.
Or we just be careful how we name them when we're hiring new people. To comply.
But in this case, a temporary employee is only if somebody were to go out on a sick leave, and if the department had chose to use their budget for a temporary employee, then they would have 12 weeks. Is that the way I'm reading this?
The temporary employee can be for any position for 12 weeks.
Mhm.
Yeah, it doesn't mean someone's coming back. It's to fill in.
Well, it says up ahead, the paragraph above that says not to exceed 12 weeks to substitute for an absent employee or to provide services under special circumstances.
Oh, okay, there it is, okay.
I'm trying to sort out the difference between interim and acting because they're not the same thing to me.
So perhaps remove acting.
Acting is someone who assumes the responsibility to me on a temporary basis. Interim means until
The replacement's found.
a replacement is found. Well, have to do some. Is there any reference that we can go to that the state uses as an HR manual that we could follow?
I'm not sure about that.
I think I can somehow get a hold of something. To me, they're both G and H are almost stating the same thing.
Right, except for the time.
Yeah.
Except that temporary has a defined period of 12 weeks.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, this is the little.
My only suggestion is to remove on H, the employee who is already on staff, remove that, who is already on staff. Wait, and filling in for another employee. So that line, the whole sentence.
So how would it read? Interim or acting employee shall mean an employee.
It is the expectation that position is.
How would it read?
Yeah, I know. I don't know, Francine. It's only because I just don't want to be repetitive here.
Mm-hmm.
Interim, acting position is only temporary.
Well, we could start with the expectation that you have in the next sentence. The expectation is that the interim or acting position is only temporary until such time as the employee returns or a qualified replacement is found.
Yeah.
Cross off the whole first sentence and start there.
Well,
Sense?
yeah, I mean, that doesn't mean that it can't come from within the existing workforce.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that sounds a lot better than.
We just don't want it to reflect on only an employee can be the interim.
Yeah.
Because in most departments, there isn't an assistant to take over.
Right.
There isn't another body. So.
Okay. Well,
All right.
Yeah.
So
we can take
suggestion,
that out.
remove the first line sentence.
Okay.
Start from there. Let's see. Going to hire the interim acting. Are we going to continue to call it interim acting or just interim?
I think it should just be interim. But that's.
I guess legally we'd have to find out because
Yeah.
some documents that might require signature might not accept interim, they might accept acting. We have to find that out.
I'll see what I can pull in my job in the HR department and see if I can get a copy and see what they go by.
Okay.
All right.
Everything else was everything we talked about. But if you want to revisit, Francine, what you questioned about the floating holiday, let's see.
That was on.
Make sure that, yeah, you understand and agree or not. It's up to you how you feel about it.
Let's go back to that. That was on page 30, I guess. Go back to the document.
So page 30.
Yeah. I mean, the change that's proposed to me is what I'm questioning.
Mm-hmm.
Employees who are not regularly scheduled to work on a Friday will get a floating holiday if that holiday is observed on that Friday, according to the state. That's what it's saying here.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, they would get that.
Yes. So right now, if it falls on a Friday, they don't get paid because it's not on their regular workday.
So you're saying if Christmas falls on a Saturday and the state observes it on Friday, and the person isn't working, then they are not paid for that Christmas holiday.
Correct.
Say like for this year, Christmas on a Friday.
Do you remember we used to, town hall would close just to make sure that the employees had that day on a Monday or a Thursday.
Yeah. I remember that. With the assumption that they had to work either the day before or the day after in order to obtain that holiday.
Financially, it makes more sense to give them a floating holiday to use as they see fit when time allows, and it's around the busy work schedule as well.
But now we're only talking about people who are entitled to holidays being benefited.
Right. It's a handful of people that don't work on Fridays. The town hall people, the library's open on Friday, I'm not sure.
I think so.
Some hours, I'm not sure with the library schedule, but they would be able to participate as well. So COA, we have one employee. It's only benefited employees over 20 hours. So the COA, our town hall departments, and library, which we only have 2 full-time people for the library.
Something like that. I don't know if they're all benefited. I don't know that they're full-time.
No, I mean, they're benefited, I should say.
Yeah.
Part-time benefited. Nobody technically is full-time. We're part-time benefited.
I'm not sure why I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around this.
See, the sad part is this year, the town hall is going to lose out and whoever else works on a Friday because Christmas is on a Friday this year. So they don't get that holiday.
Exactly.
They don't get the holiday.
And this is what?
The purpose of changing it is so they can take advantage of that holiday.
Right.
So these are benefited people.
Yeah.
20 hours or more.
20 hours or more.
Yeah.
And if they were never scheduled to work on that Friday, but they would be entitled to, this is what I'm trying to get. If their schedule was only to work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
You're saying why should they be entitled to the Friday?
I'm trying to think.
In my opinion, because it's a federal holiday and everyone should get federal holidays regardless if it falls on your work day. It's a benefit. It's a perk, I guess. I believe it says that they're paid for all federal holidays somewhere, and then somewhere else it contradicts it.
Yeah, the holidays are listed on.
Yeah, the following holidays shall be recognized by the town on the day on which they are legally observed by the Commonwealth. On these days, employees shall be excused from all duties without loss of pay, except in the cases where the department heads or appointing authorities determine that the employee is required to work in order to maintain essential town services.
Right.
So they're saying they're entitled to this list of holidays. And then on the bottom says if you don't work on that day, doesn't fall on your work day, you don't get paid.
I think we have to, I mean, we can propose it if that's what the group wants to do.
Yeah, it doesn't mean it'll be approved.
But I'd like to look at the implications for that. There would be no monetary implication.
Right, it'd be
because
in the office.
They would just not be at work on a floating, they could choose a
And
day
it would
off.
be use it or lose it. Some people don't use all their hours and lose it. It
So
happens.
that would be, yeah, that
It's
would be
amazing
added.
how many people don't use their time because they can't. It's hard to take time off without falling behind.
Mhm. Well, yeah, I mean, that to me, I really, for myself, need to really think the various scenarios out on how that would happen. But I'm seeing it's not additional expense.
No, there's no additional
Um,
expense on it.
Okay. I mean, that becomes my
It
first,
won't increase the budget.
okay. All right. Well, I know other people have to look at this as well. And again, coming back and I don't know where we fit in terms of standard practice compared to
Well,
with the other towns or what the state.
so Easthampton has floating holidays. And when I worked there, we loaded all the holidays that fell on, they had Fridays off as well. We loaded in all the holidays at the beginning of the year and they could take them as they please as personal days. However, that can bite you in the butt if the employee leaves for some reason. We don't have, well, we have had a high turnover recently, but normally we do not. So unless you have a turnover of people that are going to take their floating holidays and quit, that's different. But it's rare that you have more than two. This is just an off year that didn't fall on Friday.
So are they allowed to be compensated
Yeah, it was
for floating holidays if they have not yet occurred?
right. So, in my opinion,
That turns into money.
they shouldn't be allowed to take the floating holiday until after the holiday occurs. So,
We would need to stipulate something like that.
absolutely.
Because for people to start to, calculate their time, and then that could add a couple of days to the payout. Well, that would need to be clarified
Yeah, we'd have to
in my
figure-
mind in here.
We can clarify the wording there. They cannot take it until the holiday falls.
Right.
It's pretty rare.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I would like to see that. And that's sort of what brought me to my question. And I didn't send you notes like I said I would based on our conversation, just simply because your minutes covered exactly what we talked about. It would just be a duplicate of what you had written down. But what I was looking at and what I am still confused a little bit about in terms of the payout, and you're right, since we're having several of them all at the same time this year and paying people out, we're seeing more paperwork in that regard. And so I'm trying to understand the difference on the like the backup document, which lists vacation time, and it also lists carryover. So if anyone works anytime after July 1st, the new fiscal year, they are entitled to that whole fiscal year's.
That carryover, their employees are entitled to a week if their supervisor or department head approves it in the select board. So it went to all those carryovers went to the select board for a vote.
Right.
I mean, there was a handful of people that didn't
Right.
take time and it got
Right.
carried over, but they're still entitled to pay it out. They have the whole fiscal year to take it.
Okay, but that was the previous year's. That's carryover from the previous year.
Yep.
And then we're upfronting and forwarding.
So it's
allowing
actually
people
the
to
year.
accrue a
It was
12-month
earned the year before.
vacation based on July
Yeah.
1.
So they didn't finish taking their vacation that year. That was earned the prior year.
Right, I got
So
that.
they were entitled to carry over a week. And then each year you earn whatever your week, your 2 weeks, depends on how long you've been there. You don't get your vacation. It depends on how long you've been there. The first year of work, some people get a prorated, depending on when you start. You could have
Yeah.
a day or 2 days vacation. It's prorated.
Mhm.
It's confusing.
It is. Anyway, I don't want to get off on that. I just wanted to understand the difference between carryover and
Yeah,
projected time.
yeah. It's all earned prior.
Okay.
But the select board doesn't have to approve if they're habitual offenders and poor time management. I mean, some people just don't take their vacations.
Well, yeah, that's true, but I mean, there are circumstances.
There are. I mean, it was hard this year.
You want to
No
be
one was
considerate
going on
of that.
vacation
Yes,
during COVID, that's for sure.
yeah. Okay.
Okay. Did we want to discuss anything else? You know, one thing I noticed that we don't have in our policy in other places that I've worked at, we've had, Chris, you may be familiar, the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act is paperwork that we're supposed to hand out to every new employee. I don't know if we should have it in the handbook here, because it is a law.
It should be in the,
FMLA's in here.
Yeah.
And then now we have all of this COVID rules and regulations now. I don't know, because it's temporary, if we want to add it or no.
I wouldn't do the COVID as of yet, because it's not an everyday occurrence. Unfortunately, it is for now, but let's hope it's not going to be an everyday occurrence.
Yeah, it was a one-time situation.
Yeah.
So,
But definitely the pregnant, what did you
Pregnant Workers Fairness Act.
say, paternity?
Yeah, I can email everybody a copy so you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we have that at our job. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just something you give out with, just like the FMLA with the new hire, just for them to sign off on saying they received it and they're aware how it works.
Yeah.
And that they're entitled. So we'll add that. I'll put that on my list here. Okay.
Now, who is approving the FMLA now? Is that Ed?
Not our, I don't work there anymore. Not the treasurer's office. Not my office. So, yeah, I would say that Ed would have to. I don't know, because we don't have an HR.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know, but there's a form that needs to be complete and.
Right. I know when I was there, I had to do it because we didn't have at that time the town administrator, and it had to be somebody that was in charge of
And there's
benefits.
a turnaround in days that you have to make sure that once they apply, it gets back to them. You have to respond to them.
I know the select board has to approve short-term disability,
Yes.
and I have not yet had the experience of having FMLA.
FMLA, so there's certain guidelines that you meet the criteria, you're approved whether someone signs off on it or not.
Right.
You're approved. And now the other part of the COVID with the 10 days, your first 10 days, we have to pay them.
Yes.
After that, we pay 2/3.
Mhm.
So there's a tracking involved. There's a lot of work involved.
And all that falls to the department head?
I have not been involved with it in Southampton. I don't know if anyone actually took advantage at this point.
We had it in my place. We had an employee that was out for 4 weeks. And we paid her, actually, we paid her for the full time.
You don't have a choice. I have probably about 40 employees on it right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, there's nothing we can do about it.
No, all these things apply to us regardless of our size.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, we probably should find out if Ed is manning that. I assume he is. I don't know if anyone has even been able to take advantage or has
Well,
been exposed.
Eric had. So
Huh?
I think it might be Ed because Eric had taken advantage of that when I had to be out for like 6 weeks. So he had taken some time off to.
For what? Family Medical and Leave Act? Yeah.
He took 2 weeks, I think it was. So,
Okay. All right.
So,
I still wish, I know you guys worked on this. I still wish there were, like the Bible of HR that we could use as a reference.
I will try to obtain that for you.
Massachusetts Personnel Association. Who else? I mean, a lot of it is legal. I mean, it's just.
Yeah. And because it is, it should be reflected in these documents and we need to reference it correctly is what I'm saying so that we have a model to follow, I guess, is what I'm asking for.
This question is for you, Robin. I don't know if you know. On the sexual harassment policy, has that been signed off every year by the employees?
Well, I don't think so, but I don't know. I can't say for sure. And I don't know who handles it. Nothing hasn't been handled in my office or the treasurer's office. So, and I know Lucy does the, every year they're supposed to sign off on it.
Right.
What is it? The ethics quiz that needs to be done. And then the sexual harassment, you need to sign off as well. Well, I have not signed off on anything. I was working there.
So that should be another thing that we work on to make sure
And
that,
that's in this, yeah, okay.
because that has to be signed off on every year.
Yeah, it should be in your file.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, when they come in as new hires, we have them sign something, but there's no follow-up, or there hasn't been.
There has to be. Okay, so we'll work on that too. I remember that was one of my notes. I'm trying to remember my notes that I had. Especially with everything going on with,
Oh, Francine, do you know, and Christy, you probably already know, but Maya, they are our workers' comp. They offer all kinds of trainings. We get discounts for taking advantage of their trainings. And I don't know that we have taken advantage of their trainings. Maya will provide, you tell them what you want, and they will provide any kind of training for you.
Oh, that's good. I think they did it once when I was there. We had, they did the sexual harassment training
Yeah.
in that back, or the old town hall. That's how long ago that's been, that I know.
I'm looking at it and I'm not seeing anything in here that says it needs to be signed off.
Yeah, well, we'll have to put the actual law in.
Have to put it
I'll
in.
pull it from online.
Yeah,
And put the correct wording here. We'll put the whole policy right in as it's written.
okay.
Is there anything about the ethics quiz in here?
What page, where are you?
I'm just looking, I don't see anything about ethics, but I believe it's once a year, you have to take an ethics quiz. Lucy follows up with the new hires.
Yeah.
And she'll let people know when their year is up and they have to take it again. So you go online and you take that ethics quiz, saying you can't give gifts over $50, you can accept gifts.
Right.
That type of thing.
Right, yeah, and every committee has to take it as well.
What's
Correct.
that?
Every committee member has to take it as well.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't see anything in here, so maybe that's something to that effect should be in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll add ethics to our list.
Okay. Now, I was looking, and I don't want to jump around, so we sort of ended based on the notes and everything. We didn't go into the classification plan yet, did we?
No.
Okay. Beyond.
Are you referring to what Art presented?
No.
Classification on, where are we? Okay, page 23.
No, I'm page 23, yeah. No, I think I'm looking at it and I think we're okay. Is there a standard though that we use as a reference to?
I don't think so.
So we sort of created our own, I mean, based on.
I don't know where this came from. I'm sure it's been so many years since this has been written.
Yeah.
I know it's 2016, but I'm sure this is from the old policy as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
Before then, yeah. So I guess how do we get to
how do we
we
update?
can write anything we want, whether or not it's legitimate is something else. That's my concern.
Yeah.
All right. So that's, again, if we can get something that we can kind of model that's been approved, that's legal,
See what I can find.
yeah, in the absence of the fact that we don't have HR professionals in our.
Robin, I can grab that from my HR manager.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had a question on the performance evaluation. That section which comes after the classification.
Okay.
Well, and after the compensation, but where it references that all town employees are evaluated each year. My question is, does anybody other than the department head track that?
I don't think people get an evaluation, Francine. Honestly, they should be. I don't believe they have.
And the other question, if they are evaluated, does that evaluation, when it's all said and done, end up in the
It
file
should go in their employee file, yes.
Yeah.
that the PVP
You
maintains?
should have a copy of it, yes.
And that doesn't say that anywhere in here,
No.
where it's retained.
I don't know why we have files for, a whole separate file for PPPB. The treasurer maintains them. Ours, we have a volunteer that can't even, I know I can hardly get into the building to even look at the files. They just sit there. They're just a copy of the PCS and PRFs, but everything else is in the employee file.
I
don't
questioned
know why
that years
it's
ago. Well, you know, I questioned that when we were there.
Yeah.
That why have two files when we have everything in the treasurer's office, and that should be
Yeah.
marked up.
rather than in this committee's.
Right. Yep, there's two files. The committee file is really just a basic paperwork of when they were hired. It might have their application, their PCF. If they left, they have a PCF for when they left. That's really all that's in there. Where the treasurer's office has everything.
Yeah, it should have everything. Yeah.
Okay, then someone should publish the list of anniversary dates to kind of be the reminder, department head, when people's evaluations are due.
Yeah.
That way someone,
If nobody's done any evaluations at all, then we should make a recommendation that it starts July 1st.
Mm-hmm.
And it should start with every employee. And then every year, unless you get new employees, and then it'll go by their anniversary date.
oh, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, we got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
I know I used to get hounded by our HR department. You know, you had to get it done.
Yeah.
So, and in the absence of having one, that's my concern. How do people, in doing everything else, how do they know when that's due? So I think we should put a plan or some description together and some rules that people have to follow with an expectation.
Perhaps we can find a form, one that it's the same for everybody, the same questions.
Well, we'd probably need two forms, because you're going to need one different between the employees and the managerial aspect. So they had to have two separate forms, only because of the work duties.
Right.
And this sort of describes that in here.
I know, like our contracted people, there's an evaluation for them that the select board.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm not sure what the questioning is like.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Well, that's something to go on the to-do list.
I might have one in my office because I evaluate my employees. But we have the same problem. Everywhere you go, it's the same problem. People don't have time to do it. I know I did it, and I was kind of laughing because I went back to my old job and I saw some of the things that I did 6 years ago. It's like, it's just funny. But yeah, nobody ever does it, but I try to. I try to do things right.
Okay.
So in regards to this rules and regulations, we want to keep reading through it. Do we want to set a timeline of when we want to present this for a public hearing? Set some goals?
Yeah. Now, before it goes to public hearing, it has to go to the select board. Is that correct? Or is it reversed?
Select board has the final say. So after we approve it, we can set up a public hearing.
Yeah.
After that passes, then it goes to the select board for their final approval.
Okay.
So what they
All right,
say
then
goes.
that's the sequence. I personally, if Christy, if you could get something that we could use as a reference so that I could kind of cross-reference what we have against, something from a larger organization that we can actually cite as references. I would appreciate that.
Yeah, because that any kind of references we can cite in the handbook to make it as legal as possible, to help better the cause, it's better.
Yeah. So So how far along are we? I mean, we've gone through, as far as I can see, like
So
the
maybe
first
we should,
30 pages.
after we agree upon everything, do a rough draft, have another reading of it, see if, make sure there's no contradictions, and then approve it to go to a hearing.
I'd say let's give ourselves to maybe to, with the holidays, yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I would say a few more months, probably.
That's what I was just gonna say, maybe April or something.
I don't want to rush it.
Yeah,
We're missing the holidays for anything, for them to take advantage of it.
right.
So, I mean, I don't want to push
Nothing
it.
we can do now.
Because clearly there's some things that we're going to have to revise. And and before we put it out to the public, where people, because there are people in our community who have HR backgrounds, and we have to have a document that is defensible to them. So I want to make sure that in fact it is. Because HR is not my background. I always deferred to them. That was the other side.
Yeah.
So, and respectfully, I don't mean it negatively, because I thought they play an important role.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, all right. So you want us to just keep reading?
Yeah, how about I'll make note of what we said tonight. So I did send a copy to everybody with everything we crossed off and was replacing, but I can add to it.
I will have more the next meeting because I won't forget my paper on my desk. Yeah, there definitely needs to be a lot of revamping. And we definitely need to it's after this COVID thing is all done, we need to get these employees back in there getting trained for the sexual harassment and anything else that we can.
Well, our employees are there now.
Right, but to put them in a big room to, what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
With everything going on.
But they should be signing off.
They should be. And it's been a long time since there's been a class, so I do think there should be another class.
Yep.
Because I think the last time there was a class was when I was there. And that was how many years ago?
So we'll look into the conflict of interest.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's every year or every other year, but Lucy does handle that, and I know she follows it. So I'm not real concerned about that, but I do want to get that in our policy book.
Yeah.
And you want to, let's see, take a look at the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act, get that in our policy book. We'll look for we'll recommend a performance evaluation. We'll look for some criteria to follow.
And the stuff on FMLA?
FMLA is in here already.
Yeah, I see that.
I mean, we can include all the forms if you'd like. Let me see. Because there's a lot of forms that go with it.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't include the forms.
No, just the policy itself.
I would just do the policy, and then we could just inform, in the book, we can inform where to obtain those forms. Because
so what you're talking about in the Pregnant Workers Equity Act, that's different from the Massachusetts Parental Leave Act?
Yeah.
Okay.
No. Not in here?
Yes.
Parental Leave Act. Nope, that's different.
I get the difference,
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll dig it up and I'll send it to everyone.
Okay.
All these policies that we're talking about. I know I have a copy of the Pregnancy Workers Fairness Act on my computer.
And I'll get that HR handbook, generic basically for everybody, because I know she has them. She has it because she gets, she goes to training every year. So we can have a copy. And we should have a copy.
Yeah, there's a lot to keep up with.
Yeah.
Based on our conversations, it looks like we've gotten through to like page 31, 32. And if we could scope out and say that for our next meeting, we'd go from 33 to 40, or how do you want to chunk out the work so that we're looking at the same thing? And does that make sense, or just read what you can read?
It makes sense. So 33 to, it depends because the back pages are all really just policies.
Yeah.
A full page each, so.
Yeah.
I mean, do the best you can and see what you come up with time-wise, all of our time is valuable, so.
Okay.
Whatever amount of time you can put into it is great. If not, we'll continue on the next meeting.
Okay.
So.
I just like to do my homework. I know what the expectation is. Okay. All right.
So do we have a plan? Keep going the way we're going? Give it a few months?
Let's keep going, documenting, discussing,
Yep.
move forward.
Have you heard from George Francine?
No, not at all.
Yeah, it's not like him, but.
I know he's going to school, and I know his job
Yeah, he's very busy. I do know that.
on his plate.
Oh, so about a finance member, we need to reach out somehow. I don't know who's on finance, honestly.
I don't know. Is that? I'll reach out to Ed to see if he can get me a name.
Contact?
Yeah.
And John Martin is the select board liaison.
Mm-hmm.
You could mention it to him because he goes to all the meetings, and he could kind of hopefully also encourage. He sits there with them as opposed to being someone sending them an email is what I'm saying. Maybe he could get something done. I'll mention it to him. And
They might not even know they're supposed to be a liaison.
Yeah. Yeah, I know they're aware of it. It's just unfortunate.
We're taking off their responsibilities, signing PRFs and whatnot. I'm not sure what their interest will be in our employee handbook at this point, or even PPPB in general.
Well, some of this stuff really does translate into money, and you have to have look at how some of these things might affect the town's budget.
Yeah.
I would put some interest there. Okay.
Okay. Any other discussion?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, I think we're good, and we can. When's our next meeting again?
Our next meeting is scheduled for December 17th.
Okay.
Unless we have any other emergency hires, which I don't think, well, I don't know. Depends on what's going on.
I was going to say, unless Jennifer has.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm willing to meet in between if you need to hire somebody to get it done.
Yeah. Because this is an easy way to do it.
Yeah.
Those emergency in between meetings, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm fine with that.
Okay. So, then we have no more business.
Happy
All right.
Thanksgiving to you both.
No, thank you, you too.
Happy Thanksgiving.
All right, have a good night.
You too.
Yes, everyone. Thank you.
All
Good
right.
night.
Good night.